As systems engineers, we need to be aware of the project management triangle. Scope, which is the number of functions we're trying to put in our product, our requirements. The schedule, the time obviously we have, and then the cost, our budget. Now, we do trade-offs in our systems engineering space. Given a fixed cost, maybe we can maximize the scope if we had more time, and we operate in that space. Now, there are other things that we negotiate and we navigate in this project management arena, and they very much have to do with the systems engineering. And some would call this the process triangle. Again, consult the PMBOK for more details, project management body of knowledge. But there are three other entities involved. One is risk. For instance, if we have a fixed scope, okay, and then a fixed cost, if we bring the schedule in, sometimes we have more risk because we'll spend less time on each task. That could bring up technical risk. Maybe we don't do as much verification as we would have liked. Now, management makes the final decision on a lot of these, and there are often very good reasons, to bring in the time for various reasons. So that's not what this is about. But risk is something that is at play here. Now, the other entity, and this also has to do with, let's say, the time spent on a task, is quality. If you're in a large organizations, you might be involved in quality engineering. Sometimes if you're on a production floor, there'll be a quality control or quality assessment role. And that is also in the space. So I'm going to put this over here. And we can have a given scope, cost, and schedule, but depending on how we're sequencing tasks, or depending if we have flexibility on the schedule or cost, then we would either increase or decrease quality. Now, for risk and quality, and as for executing a program, we have resources that are involved as well. So, as systems engineers, a lot of times we'll have to spec out what resources we want to use. Now, resources can be computer equipment, it can be time on a high-performance computer, maybe a supercomputer. It could be a test lab, it could be an environmental chamber. It could also be people. We'll hire some project controllers, and we'll bring in those individuals as a resource to help us, manage, at least the cost and the schedule, manage the project plan. And sometimes we'll have a risk professional to manage risk. So as we're doing our technical work with scope, schedule, and cost, we're also navigating risk, quality, and resources. And you can maybe see these as like dotted lines. Now, they interact, and some would call this a process triangle. If you increase quality, let's say with processes or with more resources, then your risk goes down. And for instance, if your resources shrink, nowadays some people for automobiles, they need chips for the automobiles. That's a supply chain problem. That is a resource problem. So you might use other chips for your automobile. That might lower quality, which increase risk. So these three very much interplay with each other, and they overlap with scope, cost, and schedule, which drives our technical work and managing that work. So as a system engineer, we obviously need to do cost, scope, and schedule, but I would urge you to look at quality. How does your organization do quality? Do you have a risk professional? How do you manage project risks or even program risks? Or in the project management speak, maybe there's a portfolio risk. You have multiple programs going on in your portfolio. How do you allocate resources? Okay, now this comes in more to operations, but resources still factor into our plan and how we execute the work. Ties in with cost and schedule, but also risk and quality. So all these six really operate in the space. I'd love it if it were just the triangle. That would make it a little simpler. But again, if you want to really have savvy in your workplace and ultimately have impact, succeed at your job, even as a systems engineer, consider all 6 of these, particularly risk, quality, and resources as a process step. You'll be able to do trade-offs. You'll understand trade-offs better, even the non-technical ones, like trading off risk with schedule, for instance. And you'll just have more impact in your career. Hey, let me know what you think. Comment below. Message me directly. And I'll see you in the next session.